Half-a-day students, I am Governor Lujan Guerrero. You all have been through a year of big changes. We've had to adapt and make big changes to keep our families and our island safe. But with change comes opportunity and a chance to try new things like PBS University. While Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and I will continue to do our part to keep our island safe, you students have a part to play as well. Your part is to keep learning and to keep up with your lessons. That's why I am happy to see you here ready to learn with PBS University. PBS University is a way to bring a continuous educational curriculum to you while you stay safe at home during this time. To help you keep up with your studies, we asked our friends at PBS Guam and the Guam Department of Education to put together this episode. Thank you for doing your part and have a great lesson.
Humanities Guåhan, an independent nonprofit organization affiliated with the National Endowment for the Humanities, is dedicated to promoting public humanities programming for the people of Guam and providing foundational support and educational resources for our island community. For more information about Humanities Guåhan, visit www.humanitiesguahan.org. The following webinar series is part of a project presented by Humanities Guåhan entitled Unincorporated, Voting, Voices, and Visions Para Guåhan. This project explores Chamorro stories, experiences, and perspectives on civic engagement in relation to voting rights, democracy, political status, and Chamorro self-determination. Unincorporated consisted of the 5-part webinar series that took place from January through May 2021 and covered topics on the origins of Chamorro self-determination, the work of the Commission on Decolonization, the relationship between art and decolonization, and the role of the U.S. legal system as it relates to Guam's political status. The project culminated with the launch of an online and printed magazine distributed throughout the community, which consists of essays, creative reflections, and artwork exploring issues around Guåhan's political status and decolonization through the perspectives and historical and political experiences of the Chamorro people of Guåhan.
Naps. In my eyes is the green of yours. My mouth whispers your promises, and you say, I am beautiful just for you. I say, I will die for you, and it is your inflection. I reject what I thought was right or wrong. I forgot the things my mother taught me. Incorporeus, I have no body, and you have no awareness of me, a memory of who I once was. And we have not become something new, you and I. We are not the many become one. I have become you, and I am not incorporated. That's it, short. I'm going to talk a little bit about, okay, what does this have to do with anything? When I first got the email and I read the words unincorporated, the first thing I saw was corp, the root word, corpus, body. And the word body took me to a very intimate place, right? But with the word corp, the Latin root, I didn't choose Latin to be bougie or highfalutin or anything. I chose Latin because I felt the way to understand a root is to dig into its origin, right? That's what we do. And when we want to look back, we dig into the origin, and the origin of incorporated it's Latin based, and it means to form in one body. So that was another level of what? That's heavy. Okay. And why did I start with incorporated? Okay. That's another thing. In 1982, when I was a freshman in high school, so I've just aged myself. So when I was a freshman in high school, I learned about our political status by this amazing teacher. She was white. She was probably Peace Corps. But we started this class. I learned about what unincorporated was. I learned what incorporated was. And so I thought, to me, the idea of looking at incorporated, which is to form in one body, was very compelling to me because we are not incorporated, right? We are not forming this one body. So that's where this originated. And it's the idea of body, and it's the idea of tracing the arc of a relationship. And I don't know how many of you have ever been lost in someone. And it's funny because the very first part of this poem, if we trace that arc, the first part of this poem, there's a joy or a mania. And it's very tangible, right? We can feel, I really felt when I am in this state with someone I am obsessed with or in love with, I really literally want to tear them apart. I want to crawl into their skin. And I've read this poem before to people, and they thought sexual, but whatever union you think of, that's what I wanted. And as you trace this arc, it becomes less grounded in things that you can touch, and it just becomes ideas. So I don't know if you notice, there's no more imagery at the end. It's just thoughts and this metacognition, this awareness that, I am completely lost in you. I don't know who I am anymore. The idea of incorporeus, which is the root of incorporeal, which is ghostly or nobody, I thought was also something that if you've ever, again, been in this sort of relationship where it becomes toxic, you do get so lost that you feel ungrounded, you feel ethereal not in that wispy fairy way. So this is, it's really just a short poem and it's not that deep, but in many ways it's incredibly it's very vulnerable, people. Sorry, I just reveal this incredibly toxic relationship. But at the same time, as I was writing it, I really appreciated the parallel of the toxicity of forgetting your values. And in the middle of the poem, when I say I will die for you, I meant it. And I'm like, is that me speaking? Is this who I really am? And to think outside of oneself, the idea of rejecting and forgetting the things that you've been taught, I think of that's the ultimate in sort of sacrifice, and that's the ultimate of giving over, and that's the ultimate in loss. And so the metacognition at the end is, what am I left with? I'm not incorporated. That's the play on unincorporated, that final end. I haven't formed one body. I haven't formed anything new with you. I have nothing. Now, and again, I'm not trying to over dramatize what's happening and I'm not trying to oversimplify that and saying that this is everyone's experience, but this was a thought process that was unintentional. And when I went there, I realized, oh my gosh, the parallels to this toxic relationship. I wrote it personally so I could feel something. And then I realized, oh, okay, this is pretty cool how it works out. It's not cool, but it's also really, I don't know. But thank you for listening to it.
Oh, bonito to it. The metaphors and the symbols are very deep. What I love about the poem is that you can feel the depth, but you can also explore the depth. It's one of those things where the words used and the images evoked, even if you just sort of feel it in the moment, you can feel it. The pulling, the surrounding, sort of the feeling of being lost. But as you bring out, if you explore the terms, if you decide to dive deeper into the words, there's also more there. And your talk about incorporated is important because people need to understand sort of these terms that we use.
Right.
That's why I always bring up the word territory. And Santos Perez, who talks about these issues in similar ways, he does that where he mediates with the original roots of the word territory. Right. And so I was remembering that when I was hearing your poem. One thing that struck me, though, was because you put it in a very interesting way, that feeling that you can be completely engulfed in something, but it isn't necessarily comforting. And that's why it's a perfect metaphor in some ways for the way that a CHamoru feels, is that you're surrounded by the United States in so many ways, but there's all these things that remind you that you're not a part of it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a sense of being untethered. And I really appreciate that. Again, it's not to, I wanted to pay homage to that original mania of being so engulfed. There is a joy there, right? And historically, I understand that joy. I understand the joy in that union. And so that's that sort of like, we get it. We get it. But as we move through it and we move through this, again, like I said, the metacognition, this meta of, okay, I'm not, what am I? And I think there's this subtext of what now? Now that I know this, what now? That was also, and that's a subtext. It's not in the poem. I'm not incorporated. I'm not part of you. I am unincorporated. I'm untethered. So what now?
Yes, somebody messaged me about your poem saying that it's interesting that you bring up the ghost, because it's kind of like if you are fully incorporated, then all that's left is a ghost. But if you're not, you still, you still feel everything. It's very visceral if you're not, even if you are surrounded, even if you have been sort of brought into it. So yeah, the mention of the ghost, can you talk more about that in terms of what it might, because there's so many symbols here. I too found the mention of ghost to be very
incorporeal, that idea of I have no body. And so to me, that's the complete surrender of self. I love my ghosts. Don't get me wrong, right? Ghosts are amazing and I love them. But this ghost reminds me of the invisible man, right? It reminds me of this non-existent, because we only know the speaker's viewpoint. We never get who the speaker is talking to. We're only getting the idea of, you say I'm beautiful just for you. That's the only time the other appears. So we're wondering, if I'm a ghost, what is this other doing? Does this other even love me to allow me to have no grounding here? And I'm looking at the time. I'm a teacher, so I always keep track of time. But this is like a mere 100 words, and I don't want to overthink it. But I think for me, again, it's very personal. It's very intimate. It's very vulnerable. It's very toxic. It's very beautiful, and that's everything that we are. I mean, there's toxic, but there's beauty, and I can't deny the people who really appreciate that relationship. I won't deny it because they're alive and I know a lot of them. But at the same time, I want to also honor and admit the toxicity to some of this. So I think that's important.
Oh, thank you so much. We often talk about our relationship to the United States through familial ties, right? We talk about the father, Uncle Sam as the father, sort of, sometimes they say we are the bastard stepchild and stuff like that. But I like what you're talking about in terms of, let's think of it as a relationship that may have these toxic elements, right? And so you have to be, you have to be very real. Should you stay in something, or should you try to fix something, or should you leave? But you have to recognize the toxic elements, especially if the toxic elements may be from firing ranges and end up in your drinking water.
Right.
And
then we become ghosts for real. I mean, okay. Yeah. Thank you. You're the second person to notice that. Hagmas. I really am so honored. Thank you for honoring my poem by listening to it, all of you.
Your beautiful poem. And if you have questions for Terry, remember that you can put them into the chat. You can send them to me. And we're going to come back for more Q&A with the entire panel later. But now we're going to move on. We're going to move on to Angela Santos. All right, so Angela Santos, Familian Kohu, Lubanos Beluk, from Sinahanya and Barragada. Angela Santos is an artist and advocate for the CHamoru people. Ange, I have to say, that you are somebody who always shows the passion, always shows the strength, but also always shows sort of the warm, the beating heart that has to be part of community activism as well. And so Hugo Fagredesi Torunai, sa Aanong Gitori Bidamuna Igwinaidza Lokwe. And that is so very important. And so I always appreciate that when we talk. And I do have to give you a shout out because the first time that Sumaya ever rode a motorcycle, it was with you. My daughter Sumaya, and it was at a protest too. So it's like double CHamoru activist points. And so Sidzus Masi Parifinatomu, thank you so much for joining us. And so please go ahead with your presentation.
Sana masi miga panahagolok kwi. Jani gwinay jamo jani pamagon mo. No. Sana masi per Humanities Guåhan per estina oportunidad. I have to say, when I was asked by Kim to participate and contribute to this, I was like, oh man, awesome. I appreciate that. Unfortunately, I didn't have any made pieces. And as you can see, there's so many latis and atupats in this one piece right here. I didn't really know what to contribute initially. And then just one day, I mean, I'd have to say, this is my grandfather's grave. This is the first Angel Santos, is Angel Bora Santos. He's buried at cont'd. And during this time, I was cleaning his grave and just spending time with him, reflecting too. And then it hit me. I was like, oh, one day I had this poster. He gifted it to me, Kisa Suiko. He's the front page graphic artist. So he gave me this poster and I was looking at it and I was like, oh, okay. And with me, my name's not Angel. I'm the youngest. Angel's the oldest. But it felt, and it's generational, right? And everything that my family has been through and what we have learned and what Angel really stood for was just getting to speak on and connecting with people. Because, I mean, everybody knows he knows a lot of people. He's got good reach and his persona is out of this world, but connection, so generational, right? The tupats, because it's not atsu, it's not rock, it's hima, it's made out of hima. I'm a carver. My teacher is Jill Beneventi. She has a art piece in the magazine as well. The tupats, what stuck out with me from Jill and why I wanted to learn from her is just her spirit. And so she taught me, right, about the symbolism of the lati and the tupats, the atsu tupats. But mind you, these are not atsu tupats. They're hima tupats. The latis represent strength and foundation. The atupats, the atsu tupats, they represent protection, right? As well as resilience. I brought this poster. I was like, okay, let me do some stuff. There are 3 tronkununus here at cont'd. I don't know if y'all know. I was initially going to have this and have that. And then the tronkununus, I thought big. And I was like, okay, the cemetery, right? The tronkununus. I'm going to put this poster on the ground. I'm going to place my tupats and my latis on this poster. And the poster says Fanogi. And it's just the poster itself is symbolic. The way I position all the tupats and the latis are formed in sets where it's either 6, 8, and on, right? So I put the latis on the sides to represent the foundation and how we set our foundation. And then the atupats are just in the middle of the poster. It's at my grandpa's grave. I'll just go there. So I set it up. And then I put the atupats in a way where it's kind of angling out towards the ocean too, in that sense, as to where it's a symbol of protection. So, you know, if anybody comes in, invading from the ocean, of course, stones will be slung. So that's the direction that I had it in. Angel, I did this whole big piece and I saw the poster and I was like, to put my brother's face into this contribution of mine to the magazine, because really is where, from my mom and dad, they know a lot of people. My brother, he knows a lot of people. And it's the connecting of it, but really getting down to speaking with everybody and having that speak start to be able to get a good conversation going about whether or not you would like to stay. And we did have the status quo back then. They had a status quo option, right? So that was one thing that I heard growing up was status quo. Oh, we can't be I mean, I don't want to be status quo, right? We're going to stay the same. And is that really an option? And I'm glad they took that one out. For me, that meaning is it's generational with this picture right here. If you click on the web magazine or the web magazine,
the online
right?
version,
Online magazine,
yeah.
right? You'll see I wrote a poem too to go with it. the lattes, and also in the magazine, there's this one part section here where it's a Zoom photo and it's got some nice cartoon graphics with people, and then in the chat group, and it's got this window of chat that's open, and there's one with Angel in it, and it says, "Stay within the latte. This is where the power of our ancestors, the spirit of our ancestors live. And it is important that we share this with them." I wanted to state that with just talking and getting the conversation going with people around, that was his, say, stepping stone into just having that conversation starter, right? And having, okay, how do you feel about this? And then he connected in many ways. He lived in California, he lived in Hawaii. Whenever people would go out to those states, Angel, and they were CHamoru, Angel would get wind of it and he'd meet them at the airport and be like, "Yo, salu, mala, sinyo soga gigi mau, pa masaya pa tadanya that tunu, no, barbecue," right? But so just that gathering of our people to be able to feel the connection within ourselves and to be proud as a people, to know that we are stronger together, right? Strength, resilience, to know our history as well. And one thing with Angel was at the Latte Park. Every time he had, not problems, but every time he was stumped, every time he felt he needed his spirit rejuvenated, he would go. I went with him one time in the evening time. We went to the Latte Park. And what thing that got me was, what I remembered was that he said,
These webinars can be accessed on Humanities Guåhan's Facebook page. To view the online magazine associated with Unincorporated Voting, Voices, and Visions Para Guåhan, visit humanitiesguåhan.org/unincorporated.
Hafa students, I'm Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio. For more than a year now, you all have continued to wash your hands and watch your distance from others, and you've done a really great job wearing your masks. We know your parents and guardians have helped you to make these changes to keep yourself and your community safe. As Governor Lujan Guerrero said, we are happy you are here. We want you to continue to learn and sharpen your skills with the help of PBS University. This program is the result of a collaborative effort. We couldn't do it alone. I'd like to thank the teachers and support staff of the Guam Department of Education and PBS Guam for their work and their commitment to our students. I'd also like to thank you students for participating at home. To your parents, I'd like to thank you for taking an active role in your child's education. We are all eager to return to a time when all of us can share and study together in person. Until then, we hope you learned something new from this PBS University instruction.